A millionaire CEO, Oliver Blackwell, shocked everyone when he took his sons Nanny, Lillian Cruz, to a company gala, but what happened that night was far more surprising. It all started when Lillian, newly hired as a nanny, was helping little Leo with a puzzle. The moment was interrupted by Oliver's cold, commanding voice from the doorway. "I need to talk to you." "Alone," he said. Holding a giraffe-shaped puzzle piece, Lillian asked if something was wrong with Leo. "No," Oliver replied, "you're coming with me to the company party." Confused, Lillian reminded him she was hired as a nanny, not a guest, but Oliver insisted. The original guest had canceled and he needed someone. "It's not in the contract," she protested. "It is now," he replied, walking off. Not one to be bossed around, Lillian followed, calling out his arrogant behavior. Oliver, unfazed, told her he paid well, had already arranged Leo's care, and even hired a stylist. "What's wrong with my hair?" she challenged. "It's nice, can be better," he said. "Be ready by 8 p.m. Alone in the hallway, heart pounding, Lillian returned to Leo, who asked, "You're going out with Dad?" She took a breath. "Looks like it, buddy." She assured him their dinosaur puzzle would wait. Tonight, she'd be kind of like a princess. Inside, she burned with resolve. If she was going, it would be on her own terms, to prove she was more than just a nanny with a messy past. At 7:05, the stylist, Grace, arrived like a cheerful hurricane, declaring, "Let's bring out your beauty." Despite initial hesitation, Lillian allowed the makeover. Soft makeup, loose waves, and a flowing red dress with a refined cut. The reflection staring back was a version of herself she'd long forgotten. At 7:58, she descended the grand staircase. Oliver, adjusting his tie, froze upon seeing her. "You look acceptable," he managed. "Not bad for a nanny," she replied with a sly smile. "I'm going for me, just so you know." "Fine, as long as you smile and don't spill wine." As they left, something in her gut told her life wouldn't be the same. At the Westwood Hotel's glittering ballroom, the annual Blackwell Holdings Gala was in full swing. Oliver entered with Lillian on his arm, and for a heartbeat, the room fell silent. She looked stunning, natural, poised, elegant without effort. Meredith Kensington, Oliver's ex-fiancée, noticed them first. "Did you bring a date?" she asked, eyeing the red dress. "Red is bold. Very noticeable." "Being invisible never appealed to me," Lillian replied calmly. When Meredith asked if she worked at Blackwell, Lillian simply said, "Something like that." Meredith made a snide remark about the company's creative inclusion policies, prompting Lillian to coolly admire Meredith's fashion bravery. It takes courage to walk in those heels. Oliver was stunned by her elegance and wit. As they made their way to the main table, whispers followed them. "You all right?" he asked. "I'm great." "You should smile more. It softens your face," she teased. "You know I'm the company president, right? And you're talking to someone unafraid of presidents." Over dinner, she observed the corporate charade like a stage play she instinctively understood. Later, Meredith returned with a French investor, Mr. Beaumont. "He wanted to meet your guest," she purred. "Miss Cruz," the investor said, "your presence has been notable." When he asked about her work, Lillian jumped in before Oliver could correct him. "I've followed your accessibility projects. Technology should include people, not exclude them." Beaumont was impressed. Lillian even cited Paris's Lumiere project and its data, facts Oliver didn't know she'd read. "Would you be open to a meeting?" Beaumont asked. "I'd be happy to," she replied. Meredith, flustered, muttered, "You're full of surprises." "I pay attention," Lillian said. Afterward, Oliver asked where she'd learned all that. "I wasn't always a nanny," she explained. "I had plans before life forced reinvention." He acknowledged she'd made a good impression. "I'm not here to make a bad one," she replied. "Beaumont thought you were an executive." "Maybe one day," she said. Intrigued, Oliver asked what else she knew. "You'll have to find out." The next morning, Oliver couldn't focus, reports ignored, coffee untouched, all because of the woman in the red dress. He found her outside drawing dinosaurs with Leo, her presence just as magnetic in jeans and a ponytail. "We need to talk," he said. "About the reaction to the dinner." Investors were impressed. "Are you thanking me?" she asked. "Not exactly. I'm offering a deal. Pretend to be my girlfriend for 2 months." She laughed. "You're kidding." He was serious. Important events were coming up, and her presence helped the company's image. "What's in it for me?" she asked. He offered a generous bonus and a contract update. "So I dress like a model, smile next to you, and stay quiet when your rich friends talk nonsense? Respond with class," he said. "Fine," she agreed, listing conditions: full autonomy with Leo, freedom to dress how she pleased, no orders outside their agreement, and the right to end the act early. Oliver hesitated, then nodded. "Deal." They shook hands, something unsaid sparking between them. In the following weeks, Lillian's role in Oliver's life expanded beyond Gala's. She was there when Leo refused vegetables, when the neighbor's dog escaped, and even at 4 a.m. when the house alarm accidentally triggered. Oliver discovered she made up silly songs to help Leo brush his teeth, danced in the kitchen when no one watched, read company reports out of curiosity, and left notes with useful suggestions, notes that, to his surprise, actually made sense. That night, Oliver sat alone in his office looking at recent photos. In every one, Lillian was beside him, smiling, talking, sometimes looking at him with that challenging sweetness he couldn't define. This was all supposed to be pretend, yet he was forgetting what was real and what wasn't. On a gray Monday morning, Oliver walked briskly through Blackwell Holdings, phone pressed to his ear. "He had appendicitis?" he asked, stunned. "Yes, sir." "David's already at the hospital," his assistant replied, "but he won't be able to attend the Horizon Project presentation." Oliver hung up, heart racing. The meeting was in an hour, and now they had no spokesperson. Horizon was a bold, socially driven urban development plan, and it needed more than numbers. It needed meaning. He stepped into his office, unsure of what to do, when he heard footsteps. "Is everything okay?" Lillian asked, holding a folder of Leo's drawings. "No," he said, "our lead for Horizon is out, and this meeting could decide a $20 million investment." She placed the drawings on his desk, brushed her hair back, and said, "I can help." "This isn't one of those tea-making moments, is it?" he asked. "No," she smiled, "but I can do that too. What I mean is, you've shown me the reports, we've talked about this project, and what it's missing is what I can offer: humanity. The numbers are strong, but someone has to tell the story behind them." "You've never done a presentation," he noted. "And you don't have many options," she replied. He couldn't help but smile. 30 minutes later, the room filled with investors, big names, sharp eyes. Oliver gave a brief introduction, then handed the mic to Lillian. She walked to the front with calm confidence, dressed in a beige blazer and white blouse, her hair loose on her shoulders. "Good morning. My name is Lillian Cruz," she began. "I'm not an engineer, architect, or economist, but I know what it's like to grow up in a place where cracked sidewalks teach you to jump before you can read." The investors exchanged glances. The Horizon Project transforms forgotten neighborhoods into real communities with lighting, parks, access, but more than that, it brings dignity. A slide showed a neglected park. "This was my backyard. Mothers chased away rats. Kids ran barefoot and still smiled. Now it's abandoned. Horizon matters because it plants seeds in neglected ground." Oliver watched silently, captivated. "This isn't just about buildings," she continued. "It's about bridges, between people and their rights, between kids and opportunity, and between companies and their true social impact." When she finished, silence held the room, then applause broke out. One French investor asked, "Do you speak with such passion because you lived this?" "Yes," she answered. "That's why I believe numbers don't change reality. People do." Oliver had never seen such a reaction in a formal meeting. As the investors left, excited, Lillian turned to him. "I think it worked." He stared at her. "You didn't just save the presentation, you transformed it." "I just told the truth. People miss that." "Miss you," he almost said, but instead whispered, "Thank you. Always happy to help, if it's part of the deal." They laughed, the tension between them warming. Later at home, Lillian found an email titled Official Social Collaboration Proposal, Vita Plano Foundation. It was an invitation to be the national spokesperson for a new education and community program in Boston. Competitive salary. Housing. Visibility. Purpose. She closed the laptop in silence. That night, Leo asked, "Are you going to live here forever?" She hesitated. "I don't know, champ." "If you go, what happens to us?" he asked. She hugged him tightly. "I don't know yet, but I promise, nothing really important will change." He fell asleep in her arms while the city lights glowed like opportunities finally opening up. The next day, Oliver sat at his desk, staring at numbers that no longer stirred him. All he could think about was Lillian, not just what she'd done for the company, but for Leo and for him. She walked in, holding tea and a folder of notes, wearing a simple dress and sneakers, but with the same unshakable confidence. "Were you waiting for me?" she asked. "Technically, yes," he replied. "I need your opinion on this new social project." She sat down. "Where's the catch?" "No catch. Just curiosity." "That's rare for you." "I'm trying to get better." "And I'm here to witness it," she smiled. For an hour, they reviewed documents, ideas flowing between them effortlessly. Then Oliver looked out the window. "Do you think some people are just born to carry the weight of the world?" Lillian paused. "No. Some are raised that way. Others learn because life gives them no choice." He nodded, voice soft. "My father was like that. Weakness wasn't allowed. Everything was about goals, performance, perfection. Even blowing out birthday candles had to be right." "That sounds suffocating." "It was," he said. "I never chose what I wanted to be, only what I was supposed to be. And even now, sometimes I still don't know the difference." Trying to please someone who was no longer around, Lillian looked at him gently. For the first time, Oliver didn't seem like the cold, untouchable CO everyone knew. He looked like a man tired of carrying his armor. "And your mom?" she asked. "She died when I was 10. She was different, kind, patient. When she was gone, everything got tougher." Lillian looked down, then quietly said, "I lost my mom too more recently. I had to give up my scholarship when she got sick. I took care of her until the end." "You had a scholarship?" Oliver asked. "Yes, psychology. State University. I was going to be the first in my family to graduate, but when the illness came, my sister was still little. Someone had to hold everything together." "You took all that on by yourself?" "I did. I worked as a cashier, waitress, nanny, whatever I could. And I never looked back." Oliver was silent for a moment, the kind of silence that comes from realizing someone is both stronger and more fragile than they let on. She replied softly. They looked at each other, this time with no walls, no jokes, no games. Their connection, once built on sarcasm and looks, now had deeper roots, shared pain, resilience, and the recognition that despite coming from different worlds, they both carried scars that shaped their paths. Outside that bubble of honesty, someone else was watching. Meredith Kensington. Her assistant had told her Oliver's girlfriend had shown up at a company event, spoken on behalf of the board, and impressed investors. Discomfort was rising. "Who is this woman?" she asked her personal team. "We're gathering more information. Her full name is Lillian Cruz. We have records of her working as a nanny, caregiver, store clerk, but not much else. No degree, just an old enrollment, State University, psychology. Dropped out a few years ago." Meredith folded her fingers, thinking, "I want more. Everything you can find, records, photos, anything that could expose her." "You think she's pretending?" "Not sure. But I know when someone is somewhere they don't belong. And if we don't find anything damaging, we create a story. Sometimes planting the doubt is enough. The rest, society will handle." Meredith walked to the window of her penthouse. From up there, everything looked under control. But something about Lillian threw her off. She was charismatic, genuine, and worse, winning people over. Including Oliver. Meredith wasn't going to be replaced, especially not by someone she didn't think belonged in the room. Meanwhile, at the office, Oliver and Lillian were saying goodbye after a long day. He carried a folder. She had a notebook full of handwritten notes. "Going to see Leo now?" he asked, holding the elevator door. Yes. He wants to show me a chalk masterpiece. Get ready. He mixed dinosaurs with rockets. Creativity's alive and well in that house. They stepped into the elevator, comfortable silence replacing the awkwardness of their early days. Then, just a few floors from the lobby, the elevator stopped. The lights flickered. Was that planned? Lillian asked, half laughing, half suspicious. Unfortunately, no, Oliver replied, pressing the emergency button. It's happened before, but never with me inside. Perfect. My debut in corporate events and stuck elevators. He tried to contact maintenance. No signal. The generator had failed too. Lillian leaned against the wall. Looks like we'll be here a while. At least the AC's working. But nothing to eat. Terrible combo. You're hungry? I'm always hungry after 5. Survival rule, from someone who once lived on 1 pack of crackers a day. Oliver looked at her with a mix of curiosity and admiration. You talk about things like that with such ease. Because if I don't laugh, I cry. And crying won't help us get out of the elevator. He chuckled. I used to think women like you only existed in movies. And I used to think men like you only existed in tax reports, cold, arrogant, soulless. Your words, not mine. They laughed. But you know something, Oliver? She said, looking up. Sometimes what we think we know isn't even half the story. Are you talking about me? About me too. We protect ourselves so much, build walls, hide behind titles and sarcasm, and we miss what's real. He didn't reply. Are you afraid? She asked. Of the elevator? No, of other things. Maybe. Like what? Like letting myself feel something in a place where I was only supposed to work. He nodded slowly. I get that, more than you might think. Their eyes met, the silence between them now full of meaning. In that metal box, stuck between floors, there was more truth than in a dozen gala dinners. 30 minutes later, the elevator started again. They stepped out, walked in silence to the parking lot. Thanks for the talk, and the company in captivity, he said. It was more fun than I expected, she replied. He hesitated, wanting to say more, but only nodded. Good night, Lillian. Good night, Oliver. Across the city, Meredith Kensington had a file on Lillian spread across her desk and a plan forming. That evening, at the Luxor's Grand Dining Room in Manhattan, the setting was pristine. Piano music, glittering silverware, warm chandeliers. Blackwell Holdings executives toasted with international investors. Oliver was there, elegant but tense. Social events weren't his thing, and he wished Lillian were with him. But this time, he hadn't invited her. He was still processing everything. The elevator, their words, what hadn't been said. Then Meredith appeared in a flawless navy dress and confident stride, taking the seat beside a key British investor. Mr. Wilkins, have you met Oliver's companion? She asked. Oh yes, the young woman who presented the Horizon project, he said. Very sharp. I was impressed. Meredith smiled. She is impressive, isn't she? And to think, she's actually his son's nanny. The words hit like a shockwave. A waiter paused mid-pour. Oliver stared, stunned. Meredith continued casually, Don't get me wrong, I admire the boldness. A nanny at the center of strategy. It's modern. Though personally, I prefer professionals with proper qualifications. Meredith, Oliver began, but his voice failed. Wilkins cleared his throat. She seemed well prepared, no matter her title. Of course, Meredith smiled. But maybe the board deserves to know who's really influencing decisions. Just then, Lillian walked in, there to deliver a signed document at Oliver's assistant's request. She wore a simple, elegant dress. The room fell silent. Oh, what a coincidence, Meredith said loudly. We were just talking about you. I hope it was something useful, Lillian said steadily. It always is, Meredith replied. We were just explaining that you're actually little Leo's nanny. Lillian took a breath, didn't flinch. Yes, I'm a nanny. And proud of it. Before that, a cashier, clerk, waitress, caregiver, cleaner. But no matter the job, I did my best. She turned to Oliver, waiting, for a word, a gesture. He stayed silent. Frozen. Her voice tight, she said, "Thank you for reminding me where I came from. And where I don't want to stay." She walked out with dignity, no tears. Hours later, Oliver sat in his office, dinner long over, mind racing. Why had he said nothing? On the side table, he noticed a craft paper folder labeled Project Portfolio, Lillian Cruz. Inside, sketches, maps, community projects, support programs, all hand-drawn with care. Dreams she'd had before becoming a nanny. She was so much more than he'd imagined. And the world never gave her the chance to show it. The next morning, the story had already spread. Blogs speculated. Social media lit up. Some questioned Blackwell. Most praised Lillian. A video clip from the restaurant had gone viral. "We need to control the narrative," said the communications director. "How?" Oliver asked. "By showing we value talent, regardless of background." Oliver stood. "No. I need to do more than that." That same day, Lillian was packing her small suitcase. She'd written 3 letters, one to HR, one for Leo, and a short one for Oliver. "Thank you for believing, even if just for a little while. I don't regret what I experienced. But I need to move on. Take care of Leo. He deserves the world." She was closing the door when Oliver knocked. He looked different. "You really caught me off guard yesterday," he said. "Welcome to the club," she replied. "I should have said something. I was in shock. But that's no excuse." "No, it's not." He pulled out the portfolio. "You should be leading a team, not picking up toys." "I like the toys. And I like you," he said. She raised an eyebrow. "You like a nanny?" "I like an intelligent, brave woman who stood tall in a room full of powerful people and made me laugh when the elevator broke. That's what matters to me, not what people think." She took a deep breath. "You took too long to figure that out." "But I did figure it out," he said. And this time, he didn't stay silent. "You know what's funny?" she said, picking up her suitcase. "You're telling me all this just when I got a job offer in Boston. A social project, one I helped inspire without even meaning to." Oliver looked at her. "Are you going to say yes?" "I don't know yet." "What do I have to do to make you stay?" She met his gaze. "Let me go if that's what needs to happen." In that moment, Oliver understood that true love doesn't cling. It releases. That morning, he wasn't sure what he was looking for when he drove to the address Lillian had left in the company's records. Something in his chest urged him to go, not just to apologize, but to truly understand who she was, and maybe, for the first time, who he was. The cityscape faded into modest neighborhoods filled with life, small shops, barefoot kids on sidewalks, and the scent of bread from local bakeries. He parked near a light blue building with a banner that read La Viva Community Center, and saw murals of children's drawings, thank you notes, and photos, many showing Lillian smiling among women and children, holding signs like "Education Changes Lives" and "Together We're Stronger." An older woman in a t-shirt with the center's logo greeted him kindly. "Are you looking for someone?" "Yes, Lillian Cruz," he said, almost sheepishly. "She helped start this place," the woman said, eyes lighting up. "I know she doesn't live here anymore, but I wanted to understand what she did." She invited him in, and for nearly an hour he listened to volunteers, neighbors, and former coworkers describe how Lillian had built tutoring programs, organized fundraisers for medicine, and supported single mothers with legal and emotional guidance, all with no money, just determination. She taught math in the mornings, cared for the elderly in the afternoons, and still found time to bake bread to sell at night, one neighbor said. And she never stopped smiling. Another recalled a gas leak at the school. No one knew what to do, but Lillian called the fire department and led the evacuation. "You'd never guess she was just in her 20s, they added. Each story lit something in Oliver's mind. He felt ashamed for having reduced her to a role or a label, and deeply moved by discovering a woman far more whole than he had imagined. Before leaving, he visited the home where she lived with her sister. On the porch, Clara was studying. "You must be Oliver," she said bluntly. He nodded, surprised. "She talked about me?" "She did. Not all of it was praise." "I figured," he said with a half-smile. "She cared about you, that's what hurt. She didn't expect you to protect her from the world, Just hoped you wouldn't be part of it when it turned on her. I made a lot of mistakes, he admitted. We can tell, Clara replied, standing. But if you came all this way, maybe there's still a chance to fix things. Back in the city, Oliver got home late and found Leo drawing. The boy looked up. Dad, where's Lillian? She had to go, buddy. But why? I like her. She told me funny bedtime stories and showed me how to make a heart with my hands. He demonstrated, eyes brimming. Oliver hugged him. I like her too. Then go get her, Leo said with childlike certainty. 2 days later, Lillian received a message, Oliver asking to meet at the park where they used to take Leo. She hesitated, torn between hurt and curiosity, but arrived on time, dressed simply, hair in a loose bun. He stood with a box. I brought apple pie from your favorite bakery, he said. Been digging into my life? I went looking for answers where I should have started. She sat, keeping some distance. What do you want? To say I'm sorry for judging you, staying silent, treating you like less when you were more. Took you long enough. I know. But I'm here now, and I want to show you something. He handed her a folder, an official Blackwell document approving expansion for the La Viva Center, fully funded. They want you to lead it, he said. Stunned, she read, Director of Social Impact, full independence, team of her choice, New York office. This changes a lot, she said. I hope it does, but it doesn't undo the past. I don't trust you anymore, she admitted. But I want to. That's up to you, he said. Then let me prove it, one day at a time. She looked at his outstretched hand and, with a faint smile, took it. That morning his office was quiet. On his desk was an envelope marked Lillian Cruz. It wasn't just a job offer, it was a chance to rebuild. He texted her, I need to talk. No games. She arrived at Blackwell dressed plainly, folder in hand. The receptionist smiled nervously, everyone knew who she was now. Oliver greeted her respectfully. Thanks for coming. Nice to hear you say please, she replied. He handed her the offer. She read silently, full autonomy, competitive salary. Looks good, but I've learned looks can be deceiving. Not this time. Then here are my terms, she said, producing a printed sheet. Total control over project scope, no board vetoes, no PR exploitation, and a strictly professional relationship. No social interactions, no blurred lines. I understand and accept, Oliver said. She shook his hand, sealing a quiet agreement of mutual respect. In her early days, whispers and curiosity followed her. Some admired, others doubted. But she focused on building from the ground up, meeting staff, listening, and recruiting an underestimated team, a brilliant Latin intern, a senior analyst passionate about inclusion, and a former teacher with community experience. She led empathy workshops, started a scholarship fund for at-risk youth, and revived nonprofit partnerships. Results came fast. Headlines declared, Blackwell Holdings reinvents its social responsibility, and from nanny to leader, Lillian Cruz inspires corporate change. Oliver watched from afar, not interfering but occasionally glimpsing her laughing with her team, her smile both familiar and missed. One afternoon, she found a note on her desk. If you have time, I'd like to go with you, just as an observer. No agenda. Oliver. She hesitated but agreed. The next day he arrived casually dressed, no assistant, no fuss. Together, they visited a project teaching women entrepreneurship, making soaps, candles, bread to sell with microloans from Blackwell. This is more than a program, he said. It's independence. Exactly, she replied. When a woman earns, everything changes, including her children's future. You should be presenting this to the board, he said admiringly. She smiled but said nothing. At day's end, a participant approached them. So you're her boss? Her manager, Oliver replied. Then value her, she's gold. Back at the office, results continued. Blackwell's reputation improved, but the real success lay in changed lives. At a board meeting, Oliver shared, in 3 months, we've increased our institutional value by 18%, talent retention by 12%, and earned real credibility, and it's because of her. Some clapped, others swallowed pride. That night, Lillian was the last to leave. In the hallway she heard footsteps. It was Oliver. Just finishing up reports. "Can I walk you to the elevator?" She nodded. Inside he said, "I know we're keeping this professional, and I respect that. But thank you, not just for the company, but for me." She looked at him, surprised. "Before you, I thought strength meant not getting involved. Now I see it means opening up, facing what hurts. You taught me that." "Oliver," she said softly. "No pressure. I just wanted you to know." The elevator opened. She walked to the exit, and he followed. "Thanks for not trying to convince me," she said. "That alone means everything. I'm learning from the best." "Then keep learning. Only if you stay." "For now I am." And in that moment, without promises, something began between them. Slowly, at the right pace, they found a new rhythm. Lillian often visited Oliver's home, always with the same excuse, Leo. And maybe that was true, but it became their new normal. Every afternoon, she arrived with books, craft supplies, and cookies she baked herself. The moment the doorbell rang, Leo ran. "Aunt Lillian," he shouted, hugging her legs. She laughed, knelt down, and held him tight. "Hey there, my astronaut." When the sky darkened, Lillian would take Leo up to his room for their nightly ritual, brushing teeth, picking a bedtime story, and singing a lullaby. Sometimes she made up the lyrics, other times, she sang the old tune her mother had once sung to her. Leo would quickly drift off to sleep, a smile on his face, while Oliver watched quietly from a distance, never interrupting, just observing, feeling something stir in his chest he still couldn't name. That Friday, the house was busier than usual as Blackwell hosted a special dinner for international partners to present its new social initiatives. Lillian, now the impact coordinator, was invited as an official member of the team. She arrived in an elegant, modest dark blue dress cinched at the waist, her hair in a loose bun, her look understated yet striking. Oliver was momentarily speechless when he saw her. "Good evening," she said, approaching. "Is everything ready?" "It is now," he replied, offering his arm. She hesitated, then took it, and they entered together. During dinner, Lillian was introduced as the mind behind Blackwell's new direction. She spoke with clarity and grace, explaining how each project prioritized local realities, autonomy, and long-term impact. The guests were visibly impressed, one Spanish executive remarking, "It's rare to hear business spoken of with such a human touch." "Thank you," she replied, "but the credit goes to the team, and to a CEO who had the courage to listen." Oliver watched silently, captivated. After the guests left, Lillian lingered on the balcony, enjoying the breeze. Oliver approached with 2 glasses of sparkling water with lemon. "Figured you'd prefer this over wine," he said. "You guessed right," she replied with a smile. They stood quietly, gazing at the city lights. "You were amazing tonight," Oliver said. "I just did my job." "No, you brought to life what this company was always meant to be." She turned to him. "You seem different too, more genuine, more comforting." He looked at her with softness she hadn't seen before. "You helped me see what I'd been missing, not just here, but in life." She looked away. "Don't say it like that." "Why not?" "Because I believe you when you say it in that voice." "Then believe me, I'm in love with you, Lillian." Silence followed, broken only by distant cars. She searched his eyes for a lie, a trick, but saw only truth. "I don't know what to say." "You don't have to." He moved closer, slowly, until she closed the distance between them. Their kiss was slow, sincere, full of discovery and relief. When they pulled apart, her eyes remained closed. "That wasn't in our agreement," she murmured. "Then I think we need a new contract," he replied, resting his forehead against hers. The next morning, Leo raced around the living room, beaming. "All ready, astronaut?" Oliver asked. "What are we doing again?" "A special mission." "You in?" "Always." In the car, Leo held a handmade envelope. "You think she'll like it?" "I'm sure of it." In the trunk sat a gift wrapped in red paper, part of a weekend Oliver had planned for Lillian and Leo. In the square where Lillian had launched her first project, tents, craft booths, and flowers transformed the plaza into a celebration. The first community day. Children wore shirts that read, "My future starts here," while elders shared stories and women sold handmade goods. In the middle of it all, Oliver walked beside Leo, who clutched something behind his back. "Remember the plan, astronaut?" "Yes." "I wait for the signal." Spotting Lillian helping with microphones, Leo whispered, "She looks really pretty today, Dad." "She always has, I just took too long to see it." The event opened with music, testimonies, and speeches. Lillian guided it all with calm, gently encouraging each participant. When Oliver took the stage, the crowd hushed. "Good afternoon. Today I speak not as a CEO, but as someone changed by this community, this project, and one person in particular." Lillian paused mid-step, her eyes widening. "When I met this woman, I believed success meant control and that emotions were distractions." Laughter rippled. "She came into my life as my son's nanny, then as someone unafraid to challenge me. Lillian, you taught me empathy is strength, and that real leadership comes from the heart." He looked at Leo, who got the signal. The boy climbed the stage, handed him a small blue box, and grinned. "Is it time?" "It is." Oliver knelt. "Lillian Cruz, would you change the rest of my life by saying yes?" Tears streamed down her face. "Oliver, I love you. I want to build a real life, with Leo, with our flaws and all that we are." Laughing through tears, she asked, "You did all this? With the amazing team you built, and Leo rehearsed with me. What if I'd said no? Then we'd have needed a very sad alternate ending." She walked toward him, eyes full, and offered her hand. "You're crazy." "A little." "And stubborn." "Definitely." "And still, I say yes." Applause erupted. Leo shouted, "She said yes," and hugged them both. They exchanged rings, embraced, and kissed, an ending and a beginning. Across town, Meredith watched the live stream, a drink in hand. "This can't be happening," she muttered. Preparing to post damaging info about Lillian, she paused, seeing the comment section filled with love and praise. "We need more leaders like her." Meredith slammed her laptop shut. The damage wouldn't land. Public opinion, and Oliver, were on Lillian's side. Back at the plaza, Leo ran with a flower crown, "For my new mom." Lillian and Oliver walked hand in hand. "Was that all real?" she asked. "As real as what you created. As real as what I feel." "So we're engaged officially?" "With plenty of witnesses. One condition, a simple ceremony, with Leo at the altar, music, and food from our project." "Done." "Are you really willing to do all this?" "I'm willing to be with you." The breeze stirred, the sky golden, blessing the moment. 3 months later, their wedding took place on a sunny Saturday in that same square. Flower arches, white chairs, soft music, neighbors, co-workers, friends all gathered. Leo walked proudly with a pillow bearing the rings. Oliver waited in a dark blue suit, no tie, his hair tousled by the wind. Children whispered, "He looks nervous." And he was, until Lillian appeared, glowing in a lace-trimmed dress, her hair adorned with garden flowers. Their eyes met and nothing else mattered. Tears came even before vows were spoken. The ceremony was heartfelt and honest, the kiss sealing not just a marriage, but the union of two lives that had learned to heal and grow together. Married life didn't change them, it deepened what they were already building. Their impact program gained national traction. New centers opened in other states, each rooted in local needs. Lillian led with compassion and structure. Oliver learned to step outside the office, carrying bricks at a rural library build, his photo going viral, redefining his image. Within the company, Lillian became the bridge between leadership and employees, launching wellness committees, mentoring, and human-centered leadership training. At first, some executives were skeptical, but rising morale and productivity proved her right. Oliver became more accessible, known for walking the halls, joining birthday celebrations, and eating lunch with interns. "That man has changed," people said. But those who knew him understood. He had simply become who he always wanted to be. Leo thrived in a household filled with love. His parents attended school meetings, cheered at games, and kept bedtime sacred. Lillian still sang her lullabies. Oliver sat nearby, just listening. "Will you sing to me too tonight, Mommy?" "Only if you promise to dream of stars." "I always do. But now I dream of you too. One ordinary afternoon, an envelope arrived. A formal invitation from the National Committee for Sustainable Development and Social Innovation. They were to receive a prestigious national award. Lillian's eyes widened. Oliver smiled proudly. "This is yours. We built it together, but you taught me how to begin." That night, on the porch, they looked up at the stars. "I used to think happiness was far away. A Sunday, a place, a dream," Lillian said. "And now I think it's right here." He took her hand. "And this is just the beginning." From inside, Leo called out, "Are you gonna sing to me or just be all lovey-dovey out there?" They laughed. "We're coming," they called together, ready for another ordinary night that, deep down, was the most extraordinary of all. The plane touched down in Washington under a sky painted in gold and blue. Lillian adjusted her coat, gazing out the window. "Can you believe 3 months ago you were telling me not to be late for a gala dinner?" Oliver chuckled. "And now you're the star of the biggest social award in the country. And I still get nervous about interviews." "Just be yourself." That's what made the world listen. In their hotel room, Leo bounced between the beds, ready for another adventure. Dressed in a tiny tuxedo, he asked with excitement, "Can I wear this to the ceremony?" "You can, just don't wrinkle your shirt," Oliver replied, trying to sound serious. Lillian, finishing her lipstick, turned to them both. "Ready?" "You look beautiful, Mommy," Leo shouted. "And you too look amazing, my two princes," she smiled. The ceremony was held in an elegant event center with a glass ceiling and floating chandeliers, filled with hundreds of guests, community leaders, business owners, educators, and journalists from across the country. When the winners of the National Social Innovation Award were announced, the names Lillian Cruz and Oliver Blackwell echoed through the applause. Lillian stepped onto the stage, heart racing, while Oliver followed proudly, holding Leo's hand. Taking the microphone with slightly trembling fingers, she began, "Good evening. If someone had told me a year ago that I'd be here tonight, I would have laughed, and maybe cried too." Gentle laughter rippled through the crowd. This story didn't begin in a think tank or a strategy room. It began with a short message, an unexpected offer, and she shot Oliver a playful smile, who was a little too bossy. More laughter. But above all, it started with a challenge, proving that social impact isn't charity, it's vision, smart planning, and a real commitment to the people who build this country every single day. Oliver took the microphone briefly. "And sometimes, to start a revolution, all you really need is to listen to someone you never thought you would." After the ceremony, the couple was invited for a live interview on the event's official channel. The host, smiling, ended with one final question, curiosity sparkling in her eyes. "Oliver, Lillian, how did the two of you meet?" They looked at each other and burst out laughing. "That's a good one," Lillian said. "Want to start?" "Better if you tell it," Oliver grinned. "I'll add the funny parts after." Turning to the camera, he explained, "It all started when my assistant said I needed a new nanny, and he thought it would impress some partners to invite me to a gala dinner. I didn't have a better option at the time." "Thanks," Lillian laughed. "I accepted, reluctantly, and showed up in a red dress that stopped the whole party. Then someone mistook me for an executive. His ex-fiancée humiliated me in public. He didn't defend me, big mistake. Huge. But from that moment on, I really started to see her," Oliver added. "Then I offered her a contract, to pretend we were dating for 2 months. They ended up married," the host smiled. "Sometimes love shows up disguised as a temporary contract," Lillian said, her eyes calm. "But what's real stays," Oliver added. The host thanked them for sharing a story now inspiring the whole country. That same night, in the ballroom, the final song began. Soft lights glowed as a string quartet played an instrumental of "Can't Help Falling in Love." Oliver reached for Lillian's hand. "May I have this dance?" "With pleasure," she replied. They danced, exchanging warm smiles as if time itself slowed for them. Leo ran over, climbed onto Oliver's feet, and grabbed Lillian's hand. "Can I dance with you too?" "Can he?" Lillian asked. "This dance is yours too, astronaut," Oliver said, wrapping him in a hug. The three of them swayed gently together in the center of a warmly lit room. No camera flashes, no rush, no script, just them, a family. As they turned to the rhythm of the music, Lillian whispered, "This wasn't anything like I imagined." "Me neither," Oliver replied. "But it turned out better. Much better." Quietly watching from the entrance, the same journalist from the interview scribbled one final note into her notebook. "Sometimes love shows up disguised as a temporary contract. But what's real always stays." What did you think of Lillian and Oliver's story? Share your thoughts in the comments. Rate this story from 0 to 10. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you never miss a story. Click here for more inspiring tales.